ang lahat ng tawanan, musika at anong paman. Magkakasama pa rin tayo mga kalamaw. Sa lungkot at ligaya, kami pa rin ang iyong paboritong tambayan. Broadcasting live from TVH Group of Networks. Ang iyong hipilan, ang iyong tahanan. Number 1 sa Mega.
Good afternoon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews at 4, and it is now 4 p.m. We are live on Kool FM, on Kool FM nationwide, and also on News Radio 93.1, where we share the latest stories that care for you. Let's begin with our point. As Senate Majority Leader Francisco Tolentino believes that immediate measures must be undertaken by the government to aid West farmers following the massive losses in the current producing provinces due to the series of typhoons that bother the country. In his regular radio program Usapang Tol, Tolentino said that agriculture suffered 786 million pesos in damages from recent typhoons, particularly from Christine to Pepito. Of this, 53% or 414 million pesos was incurred by the rice sector alone. This affected 22,000 hectares of rice farms and 19,000 metric tons in lost production, said Tolentino, while pointing out that the critical losses to the rice sector would affect next year's supply and prices and greatly impact food security. Rosento So, chair of the Samahan Industriya ng Agricultura, Sinak, who was interviewed on Tolentino's program, said the losses could even been higher, considering that many yield-affected rice farms were on the expansion stage and could have yielded more. So it's appealing to consider raising back rice trips to generate much-needed subsidies for farmer support through the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. To recall, rice trips were slashed from 35% to 15% beginning June until year 2028 under Executive Order Number 62, supposedly as an inflation control measure. The Senate chairperson, however, reported to Tolentino that the trip cuts have not led to lower rice prices in the long term, indicating that only rice traders have lowered for rice imports. Tolentino, he would together with Secretary Cynthia Villar, chair of the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Food, who emphasized during the budget deliberations last week that the RCEF needs to be subsidized in the 2025 budget to compensate for the losses incurred by the fund from the huge drip slash. So also stressed the need to accelerate the irrigation program to cover more rice fields to sustain the country's yield during good weather in anticipation of the typhoon season and the expected onset of the La Nina phenomenon. Based on the inputs of SINAC and official data, immediate interventions are necessary to aid our Palay farmers with the interests of our consumers in mind. Ensuring the rice supply is a gut issue. It is our staple food and a key component of our country's food security, he concluded. Three persons were hacked to death on Monday by a jealous lover in Calamba City, Laguna, police said on Tuesday. The Laguna police reported that Felix Dente and Vivian were found dead in Barangay Mayapa at 7:20 a.m. The police arrested two suspects named Attorney and Cheryl, live-in partners residing in the village, in a follow-up operation in the locality. Citing information from a witness, police said that hours before the killing, the victims and the suspects were seen drinking together in the village. Investigators found out that several days before the incident, Attorney confronted Dante upon learning that the latter was in a romantic relationship with Cheryl. The police are conducting further investigation. Despite President Ferdinand Bobo Marcos Jr.'s order to ban offshore gaming operators, illegal operations still persist, with some firms relocating to the Visayas and Mindanao. This was disclosed by Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission Director Whitney Cuidato during the Senate panel on women's final focal prop held Tuesday. Before Cuidato's disclosure, Prado had sent a recent Honduras press the PAOC's official to explain how POCOs now break into smaller groups. Following the ban, reports indicated that POCO have adopted new tactics to conceal their activities without masquerading as business process outsourcing firms. So how vast are these operations that you have been that you have been seeing? For example, in Paranaque, that POCOs are now breaking up into small groups or pretending to be BBOs. Is this only happening in Metro Manila, other parts of Luzon, or across all parts of Luzon, just like what NICA identified as their areas of concern? Asked Jotiveros. Addressing Jotiveros' questions, Cuidato noted that the phenomenon was not confined to Luzon. Because PAOCC is active in Luzon, we found that most of POGOs are now in several Visayas areas and even Mindanao. They are there now, he said. Later in the hearing, Cuidato added that they had observed an increase in flights from Luzon to the Visayas, with many travelers being former POGO employees. We have been monitoring those who used to work for POGOs, and we have observed that some only changed their names at the SEC and pretend to be PPO, he said. Hopefully, we will have a meeting for the implementation of EO74. There, I hope to discuss with other agencies what we are going to do about the solving of these problems, he added. During his third State of the Nation address in July, Marcos ordered a ban on all POGOs in the Philippines. He later directed PAGCOR to wind down and cease the operations of these firms by the end of the year. Construction of a way, a 5-kilometer covered elevated walkway that would transverse Metro Manila's busiest thoroughfare, is encountering some delays as the Department of Transportation has yet to find a contractor to build the project. The press green project was supposed to start in June this year, with the target of completion by February 2027. Transportation Undersecretary Tim Tiboni John Batan, in an interview with the Inquirer, said they were still in the procurement process for the walkway's civil works. We had to optimize the design to make sure that it's cost efficient, he said. That took time. Batan said they were eyeing to award the civil works contract by the second half of next year, so construction would start before the end of 2025. The DOTR's official said the project, which is being funded by the Asian Development Bank, would cost 8 billion pesos. The mass transit walkway will be situated along EDSA in a vicinity of Balintawak, Cubao, Guadalupe, and Turf. The idea is to build a better pedestrian access to and from selected railway stations of the Light Rail Transit Line 1, RRT2, and Metro Rail Transit Line 3 along EDSA. Elevators will also be installed on the elevated walkway. This project is in line with the DOTR's Active Transport Program, which also highlights the need to set up separate bike lanes for cyclists. Next year, the DOTR is eyeing to build at least an additional 260 kilometers of dedicated bike lanes. The country has about 812 kilometers of cycleways so far and wants to establish 2,400 kilometers by 2028. The government agency and city government of Marikina integrated in August an 8-kilometer bike lane and 2 end-of-trip facilities that have bike racks, shower rooms, restrooms, and lockers. In March, the DOTR also launched in Manila 9.6 kilometers of bike lanes in Intramuros in partnership with the Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Authority and the Intramuros Administration. A 2022 survey by the Social Water Stations notes that 1 in 4 Filipino households owns a bike and about 30% of them have at least one household member biking for essential or lecture purposes. And more cases of individuals recording others doing sexual activity without their consent were reported in 2024, according to the Philippine Police Anti-Cybercrime. In an interview with reporters at Camp Crame on Tuesday, Carlo J. Guillermo, spokesperson of the unit, said the ACG logged 316 cases of voyeurism from January 1 to November 21, 2024, and increased from 279 incidents during the same period in 2023. The Anti-Photo and Video Voyeurism Act, or Republic Act 9995, prohibits taking, reproducing, selling, distributing, or publishing photos or videos of individuals engaging in sexual activity without consent. Guillermo added that based on the ACG's observations, individuals aged 25 to 40 were the most frequently involved in voyeurism cases, with victims as young as 16 years old. When asked why voyeurism cases were on the rise, Guillermo said in Filipino, they want to record it because the technology is available. They agree that there's sentimental value to these recordings. Because of technology and the curiosity of these people, especially those at this age, It's as though they are discovering something that they don't know has an adverse effect, he added in a mix of Filipino and English. Guillermo said Filipino users must be cautious with their data, especially in the digital age. Any information about you, your name, that's dangerous if it's mishandled out there. If this is used by another person, they can use it to deceive other people. How much more if it's a video that shows two people in activities that may damage their reputations, he added in a mix of Filipino and English. ACG also told reporters that its operatives and officers from Metro Manila's Norte Police District arrested the man in Caloocan City on Monday evening for voyeurism. The complainant was his ex-girlfriend, whom he had been in a relationship with for nearly 2 years and trying to release private photos on social media platforms unless she met up with him. Guillermo said the victim's explanation to our police was that she felt pressured, or in her terms, she felt suffocated by the relationship. That's what she wanted out of it. Maybe because they meant everything or there was pressure. She wanted to break free from the relationship, but then again, he had videos and pictures of her. That's what he used to scare her, he added in Filipino. According to Guillermo, the victim sought help from the ACG, which then nabbed the suspect in a traumatic operation at the Caloocan Hotel at 7:05 p.m. on November 25. The suspect faces complaints for grave coercion and violations of the Anti-Photo and Video Voyeurism Act, the Anti-Violence Against Women Act, and the Cybercrime Prevention Act. It is now 4:12 p.m. as we will continue with more news headlines right here on koolNews at 4. So stay along with us. We will be right back.
This koolNews edition was brought to you by Your Ace Supermarket, ang budget-friendly supermarket ng Pilipinas. Now in 6,900 locations around the Philippines and Southeast Asia. McDonald's, featuring their McSavers Sulit Busog meals, starting at 99 pesos in all stores nationwide. Prices may vary. Ladies' Choice Chicken and Ham Spread. And Delsat TV. Enjoy SD and high-definition channels when you subscribe to Delsat TV. Araw-araw ang ating Pasko sa iyong himpilan, ang inyong tahanan.
Number 1 sa Mega Manila.
1, 2, 3. Ano ba yan? Ang daming insects. Gastos na naman sa dami ng insecticide spray na kakailanganin.
Don't worry, mommy. With Bygone Shield Protector Multi-Insect Killer, 0 lang ang mahalaga.
Zero ba? Dahil ligwak ang mga insekto. Zero harm. Safe ang buong family mo. Zero chances of pest disease. Kaya bato ng products mo.
With Bygone Shield Protector Multi-Insect Killer, hindi lang 7, hindi lang 8, kundi 11 insects ang kayang patayin nito.
Zero tolerance sa mga insekto.
Bygone Shield Protector!
Multi-insect killer.
Magpapahuli. XL Kabuhay Plus Dietary Capsule. Ito ay gawa sa mga piling sangkap tulad ng makabuhay, moringa, neem, guyabano, luya, bawang, cinnamon, turmeric, mangosteen, serpentina, oregano, lagundi, vitamin C, sodium ascorbate, at B-complex vitamins. Kaya sa pagtahak ng ating mga pangarap, siguraduhin alagaan ang iyong kalusugan. Maabot mo pa ba ang pangarap mo? Kung may sakit ka na, stay healthy with proper diet and exercise. Kasama ang EXL Makabuhay Plus Capsule. Kahit gaano kahirap ang iyong pinagdadaanan ngayon, huwag kang bibitaw. Laban lang. Go for health. Go for life. With EXL. May buhay sa makabuhay.
Ang kailangan ng Pilipino, bigas, hindi angas, kabuhayan, kaligtasan, hindi bardagulan, hanap buhay, hindi hanap away. Hindi sa politika, kundi gera kontra gutom. Ang Pilipino, hindi lang dapat puro ambisyon, dapat ay may solusyon. Senator Amy Marcos po, unahin ang pagkain.
Nandyan na naman sila, kanya-kanyang pakilala sa kung alin daw ang totoo at alin ang tama. Basta ako, mula pa nung nakarang Pasko hanggang ngayong Kapaskuhan, ay stick to one lang sa bitaminang gumagabay sa aking kalusugan. Mark C. Vitamin C Plus Zinc. Ang purong bitamina ng ating mga kasangga. Maligayang Pasko at manigong bagong taon. Hatid sa inyo ng Mark C. Vitamin C Plus Zinc. Sa mga suking butika, drugstores dito sa ating lugar. Ang mensaheng ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Mark C. Ascorbic acid plus zinc is the generic name of Mark C. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Going shopping, so many things to choose. New look, just dab it, just dab it, shop all out, just dab it, just enjoy vacation, just dab it, just even go all out, just dab it, chill out, just dab it, just wanna party, wanna dine, wanna dance it, just dab it, ride out, just dab it, just live it up with dab it, hang with BDO with dab it.
BDO is regulated by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
Enjoy up to 50% off on your favorite brands pag nag-GCash ka ngayong Pasko. Lahat merry sa Merry GCash. See the GCash app for more details. Promo runs from November 15, 2024 to January 15, 2025. Per DTI Fairtrade Permit Number FTEB 205923 Series of 2024. GCash is supervised by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
Aray! Sakit ng katawan buong araw at work? No worries! Just Patch Salon Pass para maghatid ng direct ingredient penetration, pang mabilisan within 30 minutes at pang matagalang relief na dumidikit hanggang 8 oras. Patch, shoulder, neck, back, body pain, patch, Salon Pass. Methyl salicylate, menthol, tocopherol acetate. Camphor is a generic name of Salon Pass. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Basta para sa anak ko, ito todo buhos ang nutrisyon.
Dahil ngayon, ang Birch Tree Fortified may tripling tulong sa kalusugan niya. Helps with immunity, bone health, at brain function. With a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle for those aged 3 and above.
Yan ang Lakas Depensa Plus Support Nutrients.
Araw-gabi tayong dalawa.
With Birch Tree Fortified.
Support nutrients refer to vitamins A and C for immunity, calcium and phosphorus for bone health, and zinc for brain function.
Hirap magpahinga? May mga gamot para dyan. Pero, relax. Mag-efficacent oil. Sa unang amoy at hagod, ramdam ang ginhawa na trusted by all. Unahin ang trusted ginhawa. Unahin ang efficacent.
Methyl salicylate plus menthol plus camphor is a generic name of efficacent oil. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Welcome Christmas home with holiday cheer. Head to SM Home and shop from our merry selection of delightful decor. From classic Christmas trees to sparkly ornaments, we've got what you need this holiday season at SM Home.
Araw-araw ang ating Pasko sa iyong himpilan, ang inyong tahanan.
Number 1 sa Mega Manila.
Welcome back to koolNews at 4. Let's continue with our headlines. Former President Rodrigo Duterte should take a leaf out of his predecessor's book when it comes to respecting incumbent President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Nuevo Ecija 3rd District Representative Ria Vergara said on Tuesday. During a manifestation at the House of Representatives Quinta Committee hearing, Vergara said that the late former President Benigno Aquino Duterte remained silent even whenever he felt about Duterte's policies and act that Duterte can emulate. But just as the previous late President Aquino stepped out of the public scene and out of Delicadeza, didn't say anything to question the Duterte policies on its direction of the drug war, and that now you are no longer president, Mr. President Duterte. When you yielded great power during your 6 years, just as former presidents, it didn't interfere. I pray you do the same, Vergara said. According to Vergara, Aquino mom, even if he had all the right to speak with Duterte and his allies, attack government officials close to the late statesman, like then Senator Laila de Lima and then Vice President Leni Robredo. President Aquino stood helplessly as the full force of the Duterte administration accused, detained, and jailed then Senator Lion de Lima, who has now been exonerated by our courts, Vergara said. Former President Aquino kept his opinions to himself even as our former President Duterte verbally attacked VP Lenny, wishing her death, mamatay ka na, referring to her as a colossal blunder. So many statements at the coming of a duly elected president to an elected vice president, she added. Aquino was not as visible as Duterte after stepping down from Malacanan in 2016, but there were instances when Aquino criticized his successor. In 2019, Aquino asked Duterte why he appointed Robredo as the drug czar if he did not even trust the vice president, noting that appointees were usually people whom a president believed could get the job done. Duterte appointed Robredo as co-chairperson of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs after the vice president criticized the government's brutal war on drugs. However, Roberto was removed from the post just after 18 days. Aquino also criticized Duterte's stock war, but he did this occasionally. With this in mind, Varaga made an appeal to Duterte, so I appeal to our former president, a man I respect. I respect you, and I recognize all you have done for me personally, and I'm grateful as my family and the people I serve. Please do not divide our country. Rise above personal political agendas, Vergara said. As a former president, one of those who has stepped down from office with the highest approval ratings, please give President Marcos a chance without being threatened. Please do unto others as others have done to you. This, Mr. Former President, is the golden rule, she added. Earlier, Vergara also called out Duterte for asking the military to safeguard the Constitution and rethink their support of the current administration, as such installations would only benefit his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte. Vergara said former President Duterte should be more mindful of his statements as it would bear weight given his former post. Duterte mentioned the military in a press briefing on Monday night, challenging the defense institution as to whether they could continue protecting the Constitution even if Marcos was supposedly a drug user. The former president said this after the controversy surrounding his daughter, Vice President Duterte, which started after she visited her chief of staff, Undersecretary Laika Lopez. Lopez was detained at the House premises at the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability cited her for contempt for undue interference in the committee hearings. After visiting Lopez by Thursday night, Vice President Duterte locked herself inside the office of her brother, Davao City 1st District Representative Apollo Duterte. Eventually, the committee decided to transfer Lopez to the Correctional Institute for Women, a move that the vice president opposed, calling it an abuse of discretion. Duterte then went live, casting out President Marcos, First Lady Lisa Arieta Marcos, and House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez Aldez. The vice president also claimed that she had talked to a contract killer about assassinating three if she would get killed. Romualdez Aldez and Marcos have called out Vice President Duterte over these statements, with the speaker saying that these were a threat to the country's democracy, noting that violence should not have a place in society. Romualdez Aldez also warned Duterte that no amount of noise could drown out the truth, as he accused her of diverting the public's attention from issues faced by her office. And Vice President Sara Duterte agrees with her father's pronouncements that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is running a fractured government and the assumption that he is a drug addict. In a press conference early Tuesday morning, former President Rodrigo Duterte challenged the military to protect the country from a fractured government as he called Marcos a drug addict anew. Asked about this, the Vice President said, I agree with fractured governance. I agree with the assumption that he's a drug addict because he continuously refuses to do a drug test, she further said in an unbrushed interview at the Veterans Memorial Medical Center. Last Sunday, she said that she, along with all office of the vice president officials, will undergo a drug test, as she dared all government employees to do the same. Her challenge came after she addressed statements from several lawmakers saying that she needed a psychological assessment. What did I tell you? Psychological tests or even a neutral psychological test? No matter what test I'm willing to take, you can even add a drug test to the list. The vice president said in Filipino in an early press conference. But everyone who works in the office of the president, in the office of the vice president, in all offices of the Senate, in all offices of the House of Representatives, in all the departments of our government must undergo a drug test, she added. And now let's get into the international headlines. Rescue workers in Western Indonesia used heavy equipment on Tuesday to dig out from weakened flooding and landslides that have killed at least 20 people, the National Disaster Agency said. In North Sumatra, the bodies of 5 people listed as missing had been pulled from under a mountain of mud and debris, agency spokesman Abdul Muhari said in a statement. All victims have been found dead, he said Tuesday, adding that 10 people in all have been killed in the Karo district landslide. Beginning Saturday, heavy rain pounded 4 districts across northern Sumatra, producing the deadly floods and landslides. Juspiri, the disaster chief in hardest hit Karo district, said the discovery of victims that not been reported missing to authorities remain a possibility. The landslide area provides access to hot springs, so there's a possibility that tourists were hit by it, he told AFP Tuesday. We are still cleaning up the mud and debris from the landslide while anticipating the possibility of discovering more victims. In a village in Delhi, Serdang district, where 4 people have been found dead and 2 more were missing, piles of mud, logs, and rocks were scattered all around the village where a rescue operation was underway. The electricity was cut off and there is no cell phone reception, making it difficult for us rescuers to communicate. Iman Sitorus, a local search and rescue agency spokesman, told AFP. Authorities also have deployed heavy equipment to clear up the debris, he said. Indonesia has suffered a string of recent extreme weather events, which experts say are made more likely by climate change. In May, at least 67 people died after a mixture of ash, sand, and barrels carried down from the eruption of Marapi in western Sumatra, washed in residential areas, causing flash floods. The disaster agency already revised downward its tally to 15 dead and 7 missing following an earlier report that listed 1 more killed. The death toll climbed to 20 on Tuesday following the discovery of the 5 bodies in Karo district. The rest of the victims were found in South Tapanuli, Padang Lawas, and Dali Serdang districts. And finally, let's get into the showbiz. The International Film Festival executive producer Lisa Liu said that she is happy and proud of the success Bernardo and Alex starrer Hello, Love Again after it became the first Filipino film to cross the 1 billion peso mark at the global box office. She told Inquirer.net, it shows that there are people who deliver the numbers and everybody should know that. When you see that kind of box office, it shows that our numbers count and not all the numbers in passive counted because not all the studios would count the numbers. It was a wonderful race. We're not surprised. We know that because we live there. The rest of the country, in the US too, knows that our numbers are from the Philippines. So that really bodes well in the future. And I think we will see a lot more in the future, she told Inquirer.net. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 4:29 p.m. and that is it for koolNews at 4. As always, we will return later at 6 p.m. for more latest news headlines. You can also send us your comments and suggestions through our email at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. Until then, my name is Cairo, and coming up next on Full FM is Rock Weekdays with GJG. Good afternoon.